You might watch my videos, you might not, whatever. You can subscribe later if you want to. The important thing here is that in this video, I'm going to talk about something you can find right in your pocket. If you're already tired of my face, you're tired of this and you're bored already, you should still watch the video at least for a few minutes, because there's dozens of different types of error notes that you can find right amongst your other banknotes in your wallet, your sock, your pocket, your knapsack, or the one you just found on the ground. It might have an error on it, and it might be worth thousands of dollars. So let's get to talking about a bunch of different errors that you can find right in circulation in your pocket money. Let's get to it. There are a few different missing print errors you can look for on your banknotes. So let's start with the first one, which is a missing first print. In this case, it's going to be the back of the note. Banknotes are printed in sheets in stages, and during this, there's a few different things that happen. For Federal Reserve banknotes, the back of the note is actually printed first, then most of the front design is imparted onto the note in the second phase, and then the seals and serial numbers are added, and before the sheets cut into individual notes, there's an inspection process. In this case, this is a missing first print, so the back of the note was not printed. This is going to be pretty obvious as it almost appears to be a blank note, but you can see the design from the front of the note peeking through, and then there's mostly a blank white space on the back. These can sell for really good money. Circulated ones can be worth in the hundreds of dollars, usually selling around $200 to $400, with uncirculated specimens of these missing first print banknotes selling in upwards of $800 to $1,000. That brings me to the next one, which is the missing second print, which, as you've probably already guessed from the previous description, is when it's missing a lot of the front design of the note. Now, generally speaking, these would be a singular error where it still has the seals and serial numbers, as well as the back of the note's design printed on it, so this would be a true missing second print. These have similar value, but can usually be worth more, since they would be missing, in most cases, the entire portrait of the figure that's represented on that banknote. These can be seen selling in circulated condition for around $600 to $800, but in uncirculated condition can be worth in the thousands of dollars. The next one is missing its third printing, which is going to be the seals and serial numbers. These also are very, very valuable, as those are probably the most important part of the note and makes the note look almost counterfeit since there is no seal or serial number on the front of the note. These usually sell for around $300 to $500 when in circulated condition, but uncirculated versions of these have been seen selling in upwards of $800 or more dollars. Another great printing error to look for would be an inverted overprint, which can be worth similar value, but is a completely different error and really, really neat. These inverted overprint errors are caused when a sheet of notes accidentally gets turned around prior to receiving the overprint, and the overprint is printed on the face of the note upside down. A Type 1 inverted overprint is going to be the most common of the two, and this is an error where it has a properly aligned face and back printing, also known as registration, whereas a Type 2 inverted overprint is a bit more rare, as this error is going to have misaligned registration. The value of these can vary. An inverted overprint that's still aligned can be worth usually a little bit more money in most cases if the condition is high, being around $400 to $500, but like I said, an inverted overprint that's a Type 2 with misalignment in really good condition can be seen selling at a higher value. Now, both of these uncirculated are worth a good amount of money. Uncirculated versions and then really highly graded versions can be seen selling between $600 and $1,000. That brings me to a similar but slightly different error, which is an overprint on back error. U.S. Federal Reserve notes are created using several printings. As we discussed before, the back is actually printed first, then the front design, and then the seals and serial numbers. This error occurs when the sheets aren't flipped during the process in between the second and third printing, and the seals and serial numbers are printed on the back of the note atop the design. These can be worth really, really good value. Overprint on back errors can sell usually for a few $100s in even beat up condition, as obviously these are really, really rare misprints. But when they are graded really well and then uncirculated, of course, can sell closer to the thousands of dollars. The next error is going to be really in two parts, minor and major. There's minor shifts, and then there's major shifts. As you can probably just deduce from that, minor shifts in the print can be valued usually a bit above the face value, and depending on the denomination, for example, a $1 note, with a minor shift in the seals and serial numbers, for example, those can usually sell for around $20 to $40, with highly graded or really, really close to uncirculated condition selling for closer to $100+. Major shifts in alignment of print, for example, if the seals and serial numbers were sitting completely off on other portions of the note, these can sell for hundreds of dollars, and the value is really sky's the limit, depending on how off the shift is. Now this brings us to really, really rare errors, even more rare than the ones we've talked about. The first one we're going to talk about is a fold-over error. These are really straightforward and would be easy to identify, as essentially during the printing process, the actual paper the note was printed on got folded over, and printing happened atop it anyway. Sometimes the fold can be attached to itself, or it can just be print that's off, and when you fold and recreate the fold, you can see the completed printing across the note, as you can see in these photos. You also have other versions of fold errors, which is where portions of the note were dragged and or the paper had attachments or wasn't cut properly, such as a butterfly fold. Fold-over errors can be really, really valuable. A butterfly fold is a bit different, but as far as values on a fold-over error, these can be seen selling in the hundreds of dollars. Butterfly folds, as you can see here, have usually a fold that resembles a tuft of paper off of one edge of the banknote, and these can sell for usually about 10 times the value of the face value of the banknote, depending on how dramatic the fold is. Another great fold error to look for would be a gutter fold. Gutter folds are really easy to spot, as essentially the paper got jammed up during production, resulting in a blank line going across the actual note. Depending on how severe the line is, or where it's located, if it's obstructing other portions of the design on the obverse or reverse of the banknote, gutter folds can be worth really good money. Lower end versions of gutter folds can be seen selling for the $50 to $100 range, whereas really dramatic ones have been seen selling for thousands of dollars. There's quite a few ink issue errors that you can also look for. Of course, these kind of have different levels of rarity to them. Insufficient inking, which I think you probably can just kind of guess what that is, and it's when a lack of design is put down on the note, and it's missing portions of the design from any of the three phases of the printing process. These really depend on how dramatic the insufficient inking is, but these can be worth anywhere from $50 to $100, depending on the type of denomination the note is, and in most cases a high premium over the face value of the note. If they're really dramatic and it's missing large portions of the note, as indicated in some of these photos, they can be worth thousands of dollars. Other ones would be similar to things you've seen in my other videos, like ink smears. Now, pictures here are very dramatic versions of these, but so you know what to look for. Ink smears are just that. Typically speaking, the paper in which the paper currency is printed on is jammed up in the machines and dragged, leaving almost a running ink-looking blob in various points of the note. Depending on how dramatic the ink smear is, can really determine how high the value of the note is going to be. For example, a $5 note sold for well in the $300 to $400 range for just a minor ink smear, but was able to be seen by the naked eye. Ones that are graded really high or close to uncirculated condition have sold over $1,000 for really dramatic versions of this error. Really, really rare errors to look for would be missing seals or mismatched serial numbers. Since these both take place in the third phase of printing, I thought it would be a good way to close out the video. These are extremely rare. Now, I have seen one in person, but a great example of a mismatched serial number error was actually presented in one of the Facebook collecting groups I'm a part of, and ended up selling for well over $2,000 and was a $20 note. This error is just that, meaning that the serial numbers that were printed onto the note do not match one another. This is usually due to faulty machinery used to produce banknotes. The other error is a missing seal. This is really straightforward. One or both of the seals were not printed onto the note. This is usually due to a lack of inking or, again, a misfunction in the equipment used to produce American currency. These are extremely rare. Both of them have wide ranges of values. Usually mismatched serial numbers can be worth a few $100s and upwards of thousands depending on condition of the note, what type of note it is, and many other factors. Missing seals can have a similar value as they're extremely rare to find one in circulation that made it through quality assurance and out into the wild. Now, every one of these errors has, of course, a rare value to it, and they're not something you're going to come across every day, but they have really, really good value to them, and just gets my heart beating fast whenever I'm looking through any currency on this channel or just off camera, but I've yet to find me some extreme gutter fold or something missing seals on it that I can sell for a couple $1,000s. Let me know what you think of these error notes. Let me know what you like to look for in your coin and banknote searches. And of course, let me know what you've come across in your coin and banknote searches lately in the comments. I love reading about that and living vicariously through you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, as by big request to update some info on error banknotes. But that's enough for me for one day. I hope you're having an awesome day. I'll see you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.